enough at the sport to be the premier athlete. She's just not. That's not a hate black women thing. That's not a black versus white thing. She's just not that good. The storyline is great. And for
Right.
some reason, BET found this to be the time to give her. I don't even. What the fuck are we doing? I'm having a hard time even answering your question because it just doesn't make
Look,
sense.
let me give him a little bit more. When he goes down this path that, listen, I can understand the powers that be of propping her up for a lot of reasons, but I wouldn't say it's just because they want to piss off white guys. I mean, I think it's crazy. And I'm not white.
Conservative.
Yeah,
She
that's a stretch.
trolls Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
And so, what's in the best interest of black people and black women is put on the back burner so that we control Caitlin Clark, so that we control white men, so we can antagonize and annoy white people.
Okay. You know what? I swear. I mean, I think you got to, I'm not going to listen to the whole thing, but he tries to make the connection because I don't necessarily believe that this is just because they want to piss white people off. I do know that they want to always try to somehow diminish Caitlin Clark's importance to the WNBA. But I don't think that's just because they want to slight white women. They just don't want white people. They just don't want the fact that with all those black lesbians and all that kind of people in the WNBA, they're jealous of this white girl. And they try to diminish her. So, go ahead.
I think they're doing a horrible job of their rendition of Magic versus Bird. I think I think what's happening here is the WNBA saw, okay, we have an opportunity to do Magic versus Bird, and these aren't the two players for it. They're just not.
Well, hold on. No. Listen, Caitlin would be, but she's not.
Yeah, this isn't the pairing for that.
Right.
They just don't have that right now. They just need to hey, y'all just need to slow down. Just wait a minute. Juju gonna be here in a second, okay?
Yes.
Juju right around the way. You know what I'm saying? Prayers up to the Almighty. I hope that she heal well. She get, you know what I'm saying, drafted onto a nice team. I think that the battle needs to be Asia versus Juju. That needs to be the battle of the WNBA right now. Asia versus Juju.
Is she coming out next year?
I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, because she can't afford to get another injury, and that was a non-contact injury, man. That was just bad. They always end up bad. Those things, you just go down. Oh my god. Anyway,
imagine her a Final Four championship, dog. Walked into the WNBA, helped, man. Yeah, but in terms of him, he definitely. I agree with you. He definitely went completely unhinged. It just went like. Why do we go all the way white man with this, bro?
Yeah, he's just crazy. Anyway, but that's Jason Whitlock, man. If you know him, man, he's on edge. He's always on edge like that. Anyway, okay, here's the standing. The Liberty and the Lynx are running away with things. I think the Fever's hanging in there without Caitlin Clark. They got dusted by, I think, 20 points by the Dream the other night. Other than that, just the standings.
You're telling me that she won Woman Athlete of the Year and her team is 2-6 right now, my G?
Yeah.
Her team is 2-6 right now. What are we talking about?
It's such a farce.
It's unfortunate to the women because y'all gonna continue doing this whole why don't women get paid the same as men? Y'all gonna have this whole wage disparity thing going on, and it's bullshit like this as to why y'all are not making any money. It's shit like this.
Yeah, it's very disingenuous what they've done with that. It really is, and I guess it's BET can award whoever they want to award, but that's what they do. All right, so baseball. How about you, man? Are you a big baseball fan?
I just started getting into baseball probably like a year or two ago. I'm a Rangers fan. The Rangers was the first baseball game that I ever went to in person. So I'm a Rangers fan.
All right. So listen, man, I pretty much don't
won, and they won the World Series last year.
Okay. I pretty much don't watch baseball till the playoffs start. It's
pretty
too
much
many games. It's just too many games. But I like to, it's good that the Mets and the Yankees are in first place for now. But like the Yankees, they can hit all they want. But in the playoffs, when pitching is supreme, they go down lately. So I just have to put that there. So I'm trying to be true to it. How about hockey? You watch any hockey?
All right, so hockey, I was kind of invested in. I was hoping that because the Dallas Stars made it to the conference finals, I was hoping they would make it to the Stanley Cup. But hockey, I don't know players by name, no shit like that, but I do watch it.
I watch from time to time. My high school when I was in New York was a championship hockey team. They had a championship. They played West Point. They used to play colleges. That's how good they were. So I was into it back in the day, man, with the, Gretzky and all those kind of guys. I went to school in Buffalo. Edmonton was one of the toughest teams ever. And I was up there, close to Canada. And so, I haven't fought any games, but they're in the championship series, Florida and Panthers.
In terms of this Stanley Cup, it is a nice series. These are two very fast-paced teams. They both move very fast. They're very good with moving the puck around on the ice and shit like that.
Right.
But Florida, man, they get shown so many shots on the goal that you almost don't have a chance to win. Like these motherfuckers are just getting shots off. They shoot everywhere. They shoot everywhere.
Well, man, listen, a hockey goalie is amazing. Those guys are amazing. I really tell you, man. They got those big ass pads on and they move like cats. Unbelievable. So
and they pretty big dudes. You can't be small and be a goalie. You got to be a big boy. You know what I'm saying?
You got to cover that day. All right, so put the French Open winners. Listen, man, I watched that Coco Golf. Sabalenka. That was a good match. I was glad Coco pulled it out. And then of course I didn't watch the men's thing, man. It was 5 hours. I can't sit. I watch the female tennis much more than I watch male tennis. I can't sit down and watch these guys play for 5 hours.
I'm gonna be honest with you and tell you that golf and tennis are the two sports that I have zero fucking interest in. Because once the finals go off, ain't nothing gonna be on TV but baseball, golf, and tennis.
Right.
I can't. ESPN is horrible for me during this time. I can't. Like these sports is.
So what's your best sport, man? Football, basketball, football?
Top three would be in the order of football, basketball, soccer.
Oh, soccer. I can't really get into soccer that much, but a lot of my buddies, from foreign countries, that went, they were all into soccer, man. We had enough where I worked. We had enough guys who liked soccer that they had an intramural soccer league. And that's a lot of people.
Because I come from a Hispanic background, this is part of the get down. You know what I'm saying? So
that's cool. That's good.
I didn't know that I was good. I didn't know that I was good at soccer until I graduated high school. So I was too late because most of the soccer players they're playing at 8, 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was too late.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, I watched that. Okay. So I don't know if you ever followed this a little bit of this controversy where my girl. Simone Biles comes out against Riley Gaines, and so I want to go give a little snippet about Stephen A. Are you familiar with Riley Gaines?
No. Is this the girl that went against the swimmer that went against the transgender?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, and she became a big advocate for getting men out of women's sports.
Yeah,
she gave up everything for that. So this is the beginning of the interview, and she'll talk about there'll be a little background of why we're talking about this, and then we're going to go to the next slide.
The former NCAA All-American swimmer turned conservative pundit who now hosts the Gains for Girls podcast on Outkick.com that focuses on current events, social issues, and topics related to women's rights and gender equity. Please welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Miss Riley Gaines. Riley, how are you? How's everything?
I am fantastic. Super excited to be on with you today. So thanks for the opportunity.
Please, my pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Let me give the audience some background on the story. Last week, a transgender softball pitcher in Minnesota named Marissa Rothenberger led Champlain Park High School to a state championship. This athlete's participation in the girls' softball season was in defiance of President Donald Trump's executive order of keeping biological men out of women's sports. The high school league removed comments from a post showing the winners of a softball state championship. So I know you reacted to that. I want to know, what was your reaction when you saw all of that? Could you remind our audience of what it was?
Absolutely. Well, this was about 2 weeks ago at this point. Understand that week we saw in 5 different states, California, Washington, Oregon, Maine, and Minnesota, boys take qualifying spots, state championships, or podium spots from deserving girls. This case in Minnesota that you're referring to.
Well, before she goes on, so what's your position on this?
First and foremost, this should not be happening in high school. It should not be happening in high school. If we want to talk about college and professionals, that's a different conversation. But there is no way in the world you're going to convince me that a 16-year-old boy needs to be playing softball with girls.
You think if they're older, it's better? I mean,
I don't think because it's older, it's better. But just the entire idea of a child being in high school, taking these hormone blockers and taping their body up in a particular way. These kids are in high school, so what about changing clothes? This is a 14-year-old girl changing in front of a 14-year-old boy. That is uncomfortable. Like all of the high school, this shit should not be happening. And if it's to the point to where you have one athlete that's going to a completely different locker room in order to participate with their team, that we're already setting yourself, your team, everybody up for failure. Like, this shit should not be happening in high school at all.
Yeah. Okay. From the standpoint that none of these kids should be going under gender, hormone blockers and all that stuff until they're adults. If they want to do that, live that life.
Yeah. When you 18, 19, do what the fuck you want to do. Yeah. In terms of college,
but they still shouldn't be. But even if they still shouldn't be allowed to play in women's sports, though.
No. No, not at all.
This was a boy who pitched 5 games straight, 35 consecutive innings, only allowed 2 runs of those 35 innings. I think he pitched 21 shutout innings. Mm-hmm. They won the state championship. It was his team's first time ever even making the state tournament. Of course, they went on to win. He led his team in a way that I would describe not very valiantly. Nonetheless, to be very clear, this boy is following the rules that were in place by local leadership, state leadership, of course, at the interscholastic level, but nonetheless, it violated federal law, that federal law being Title IX. So I was quick to call this out, as I have done for years after experiencing personally the effects of competing against a man. So that's a little backstory here. The issue is still happening. It continues to persist with full steam ahead and no signs of slowing down.
And how long have you maintained, or I don't want to say this is new to you, because like you said, you've been speaking on this for quite some time. I'm assuming when you talked about having personally experienced competing against a man as a swimmer, I'm assuming you're alluding to Leah Thomas. I want you to talk about the origins of your feelings and how outspoken.
Look how she's looking at him, man. This big ass dude. This is funny as hell, man.
You have been about this particular issue in the past.
Yeah. I'll give you the 30,000 foot overview. Swam at University of Kentucky, did some great things in my career. 12-time All-American, 5-time SEC champion, the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time, 2-time Olympic trial qualifier. The list goes on, but really just to reiterate, it's a lifelong journey to be able to compete and succeed really at the highest level. Senior year NCAAs, we're geared up, we're ready to go. This is the meet you work all year, really all your life for. Championship final of the women's 200 freestyle, meaning top 8 women in the entire country. And I look over at the lane, a couple lanes over from me, and there's a 6'4" man standing there. His size 15 feet, taking up the entire diving block. Visible from his side profile is not only his Adam's apple, but to be pretty explicit here, and again, just describing what we saw, the bulge in his women's swimsuit. I recognize this to be wrong, as did 99% of athletes on that pool deck, but everyone was terrified to say it. Jumped in the water. We swam 8 laps of freestyle, touched the wall at the end, and almost impossibly enough, Stephen, we went the exact same time, meaning tied down to the 100th of a second, which is really rare in our sport. We get out of the water. We go behind the awards podium where the NCAA official looks at both Thomas and myself, Thomas towering over me, 8-9 inches taller than me. And the official says, great job, you two, but you tied. We don't account for ties. We only have 1 trophy, and we're going to give that trophy to Leah. Wow. And when I asked the dreaded question of why, the question that they weren't prepared to answer, they weren't given a script of what to say when asked this question. He stumbled on his words, but ultimately was honest and said, look, we've been advised as an organization, as the NCAA, that when photos are being taken, it's crucial that the trophy is in Leah's hands. And
we could stop it there. So you get the gist. This is where it all started. Then her and Simone Biles, who you're familiar with, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, Simone tweets her and calls her, all kinds of names, a personal attack because of her position, right? And so they have this big beef. Okay, so this one here goes in from Leah's point of view on what happened with her and Simone Biles, and so she goes through a little bit of that. So now you got the backstory. This started with her criticizing that boy in the baseball team, and then Simone surprisingly coming out so hard against her on a personal attack.
You're surprised that a Black woman is supporting somebody in the LGBT?
No, absolutely not. What I'm saying, I hear you. I used the wrong word, but you would figure she would have, if she even wanted to support the alphabet community, but she made it into a personal thing, which was kind of strange.
Yesterday, Simone Biles, the Olympic gymnast, the best of the best, bar none. There is no one else even remotely in her league in women's gymnastics. I guess in an attempt to be inclusive and virtuous, decided to sell out all women and girls who have dreams to achieve and to succeed, and to specifically personally attack and body shame me. She tweeted this out of the blue, like this came out of nowhere, and she said, Riley, you're truly sick, all of this campaigning because you lost a race. First of all, if she's insinuating I lost to a man, I've lost several races in my career, that's part of being an athlete. But if she's saying I lost to a man, that's factually incorrect. We tied, besides the point. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Let me get something straight. It's my job. It's the women's job. This is what Simone Biles is saying. It's the women's job to find a way for the men's feelings to be validated, for their identity to be affirmed. That's not my job, actually,
absolutely
at all.
So
to say I should be doing this is insane. If she wants to use her platform to uplift men and women's sports, then by all means, but it's certainly not my job, and I don't believe it's the job of any woman to do this. She goes on to say, but instead you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around. I can't even make sense of that last part, actually. Then out of the blue, she tweeted this. Bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male, which is hilarious, really for 2 reasons. Number one, she's acknowledging there are differences, like physiological, biological differences between men and women in saying this. Secondly, I'm 5'5", which might seem like a giant to someone who's like 4'7", 4'8", but I'm pretty standard size for a woman. I guess like relatively muscular, right? Being an athlete, I would imagine Simone would understand that, but I weigh like 135 pounds, 5'5", of pretty much pure muscle.
I'd hip toss her little ass.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone would understand that. You would think it's Simone Biles, a woman who has historically been scrutinized for having a very muscular, masculine-looking body. She was scrutinized to the point she did this whole body positivity campaign. Then she has the nerve to say that I look like a man. And not to mention, this is a woman who has been incredibly brave in calling out and witnessing the horrific sexual abuse that she and hundreds of other female gymnasts faced at the hands of one sexual predator, that predator being Larry Nassar. In the same breath, believing that vulnerable women should be forced to strip down naked in front of men in locker rooms so long as it makes the man feel happy. If Larry Nassar came out as trans, would Simone think it's responsible or safe for him to be housed in a women's prison? To be very, very clear, I could care less what Simone Biles says about me. I'm a very secure person. I know I'm on the right side of history. I'm married, so if she wants to say I look like a man, I literally could care less. The most heartbreaking part about this, for me, is the platform that she has and the amount of young girls who look up to her, that she just in a blink of an eye sold out to appear to be virtuous. What we saw from Simone is the definition of pulling up the ladder behind you, something people like Megan Rapinoe have also done. I have a feeling that if Simone's inclusive dream came true, she would have 0 Olympic medals and no one would even know who she is. So if she wants to advocate for men and women's sports, by all means, it's America. You get to do that. I get to call you stupid for it, but you get to do that. Maybe in the 28 Olympics, she can compete and palm a horse in the rings. But I am going to keep standing up for.
Okay, so, so the real point is, okay, this is how the beef started. Oh, you know what? I do need to add something.
Yesterday, Simone Biles, the Olympic gymnast, the best of the best, bar none. There is no one else even remotely in her league in women's gymnastics.
No, we already talked about it.
I guess in an attempt.
Anyway, so that's it. So that's their beef going back and forth. And so Simone got so much heat for coming after Riley Gaines and all the things she's done for women in women's sports. She actually put out an apology. And the apology is, of course, half-assed. So she apologized for her, but to her, for saying some of the bad things, but she still stands on her position that men should be in women's sports. So if you can see this a little bit, like I wanted to follow up the tweet. I've always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are both essential in sports. Now, that first statement is ridiculous, right? Because there's no equity in sports like that. I mean, people are trying to win. Right, so if you want to call it equity, it means that men should compete against men and women should compete against women. So they're in the same biological category, but that's it.
Here's where the victim Olympics come in at. Because if she was saying this about race, it would apply, but because she's saying this about gender, it doesn't. So now we get into the victim Olympics, because a black person should equally be able to have the opportunity to play quarterback the same way a white man does. Because the talking about black men not being smart enough to handle a playbook. You know what I'm saying? So the equity for a black man to play quarterback should be the same as a white man playing quarterback. A black person should be included in those sports the same way. But that can't apply to changing genders. It just cannot.
It's not the same thing. And that's why black people should be against people trying to compare us to that transgender shit.
That shit needs to stop.
It does. And you're right. It's mostly the 92%. Right? Our black women are starting to be referred to as the 92%. And that's the amount who voted for, the retarded woman.
I cannot. There's nothing in me that will help me understand why a woman would say that a man can be a woman. You went your whole life trying to convince a man that your life is hard and you have struggles and all of this other kind of shit to now tell a man that he can be you. How the fuck does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. And the thing really about the whole thing is it just doesn't. And that's why women can't be in charge, not liberal women. Not liberal women. If you think about it, can you imagine what our country would be like if liberal-minded, everything goes kind of people are in charge of the levers of government? We found in 4 years they put 20 million foreigners in here who now don't want to be Americans. They just want what America has to offer. They don't even fly our flags.
You know how soft that shit sounds? I was listening to you just now, RP, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what translated in my mind when you was talking. I'm imagining my son going to play baseball and not being good at it, right? And having this idea in his mind and say, you know what? Maybe I should become a girl and go play softball.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Now, then the other end of it is what if my son was growing up a boy this whole time and kept talking about, oh, I wasn't comfortable enough to play sports, and then decides that he's going to transition into a girl and then goes to play softball and becomes the #1 player in the world? Why? What? That is soft as fuck.
But think about that though. You don't think that is part of their thought process? I think maybe not all of them, but I think it's part of, like, that big swimmer dude. He was competing as a man for his whole career, and he was subpar against men, right? And so he said, let me just call myself a woman, keep all my private parts, right? And these fools will allow me to swim against people I know I could beat. And that's exactly what happened with Leah Thomas.
I'm sorry.
Good.
What's unfortunate is even just me and you sitting here having this conversation right now, it gets translated into, oh, you're transphobic, you believe in trans hate, you want to see trans people be hurt and deleted. Like, no, nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that we don't want you to be, like, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Right. But that doesn't mean that you have daughters the same way I do. You're not gonna justify why somebody with nuts is changing clothes in the same fucking locker room as my daughter, dog. You're not gonna make it make sense to me.
The funny thing is that they told Riley Gaines and the girls who complained that they needed some kind of special counseling to get over it.
Fuck you.
That's what they told him. He said, listen, something must be, something's wrong with you for not accepting the guy's nuts in your face. I'm serious. That's what the official thing was.
Hey, fam. Untuck your nuts and come to the NFL, cuz. Stop acting like a little bitch, bro. Let me shut up, because that sounds so.
No, but it's cool, man. I got a couple. I always try to have a few questions here. These are the kind of softball ones, but we already talked about the first one already. It's just in general. We already know about that. Most men, and that's another thing. Most men that you talk to, think it's unconscionable for men to be playing women's sports, and the only thing that's crazy is how come more women ain't like that, right? It's outrageous. Okay, so the NBA star is interested. So the All-Star game, they're starting to talk about American-born players against the foreign-born players. What do you think about it?
I want to see it.
I want to see it bad, man. I sure do. And
want to see it.
And you know what they think? You know what they're saying? They're saying that logistically is tough to handle, tough to make that happen. That's just bullshit. What are you talking about?
Voting wise, I see how it could be difficult.
Okay, explain that to me.
Okay, so you would have to have enough U.S.-born players that meet the qualification, because they have a game minimum now in order for you to qualify for shit like this.
Okay. All right.
So you have to have enough U.S.-born players as well as foreign players in order to match this. Unfortunately for the NBA, most of the all-star players as of recently have been foreign players. So in terms of building an actual USA all-star team, it is coming to seem to be a little difficult in terms of voting.
Okay. What all that really means is that the quality of the 12 that you have to put on an American team is a little bit less than it would usually be, because there's certainly enough players that could qualify attendance-wise. Mm-hmm. So that means like a guy like maybe Siakam will get. He's a foreign player, but a guy that might just miss it by the hairy edge becomes an all-star. But that's indicative of the fact that most of the NBA's best players are foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so can you imagine they would have the front court on lockdown? I mean, just think about it. Yeah, I mean, just with I think Embiid's out of it, but I think at the eight-year mark, I think Giannis might still be available. That might be 9 years, 8 years. Oh no, forget about it. I'm talking All-Star, not my list.
Also,
so think about just think about the front court. I mean, who in the front court is an American-born player these days?
Hey, you put Embiid and Jokic in there, it's over. You got Wemby and Jokic, that's over.
Yeah, you got Giannis. I mean, who they have? I mean, in the American side, they'll be hard pressed to find a front court
even the guards after Donovan, like in terms of guards after Donovan Mitchell, I really don't have one for you. Jalen Brunson will qualify, but I don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What about maybe Jalen Green? These are young guys that there's a couple of guys. You got Anthony Edwards. You got your boy Ja.
Yeah. I mean, they will be able to build a team, but
they could build a team.
That other side, you got SGA running the point. You got Jokic and Giannis down low.
You got Halliburton off the bench. I mean, you got because I think he's
Siakam off of the three. Siakam playing the small four. Come on, man!
Come on.
That's a hell of a
That's why I'm trying to tell you the NBA doesn't want to get embarrassed. Because they know that first of all, they would have that game would be serious because pride would be on the line, not money, not any of these things, trappings that these guys don't care about. Because they're getting paid well.
Here's my theory, though. I think the NBA wants the USA to be embarrassed.
Well,
because if I have understandings that they plan on having like a new NBA Africa, NBA Europe, like they plan on opening creating a league, extending the league to foreign countries. So if you're going to extend your league to foreign countries, you would then want to give them incentive to leave their league to come to yours. I think embarrassing the USA in the game that they created would be a great way for them to market their foreign leagues and to get athletes coming in. I kind of think the league wants to embarrass USA players right now.
Well, you know what? You might have it's a theory. It's a theory. It definitely is a theory. And so you've been watching the championship?
The finals, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So who did you have?
OKC, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think OKC. Listen, I thought that if the Pacers would have a chance to win, they would have to win that first game. And I think instead of the same, vigor, they kind of laid down in the second game because they said they got the one they wanted. I think that was a mistake. They should have tried to win the second game just as hard as they won the first. Because now, they got, first of all, they're back home now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they got to win both of those games.
Have to.
They have to win both of those games. Yeah, there's just no doubt about it. It's a must win. I got OKC too, and just amazing. That team is I think they're going to win a championship, and a team that had 3 first ballot Hall of Famers couldn't get it done, and throwing a Serge Ibaka for good measure.
Duh.
That team was a bug. The only reason they didn't win because they were young. Before they split them up. They were young. Can you imagine? Think about it. When you just think about that squad, and with those guys, the way their careers turned out, man, it's amazing.
And that's exactly where I was about to go. Because when you look at how James Harden ended up, it kind of fits. Because he is a choke artist in the most important games.
Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He is a choke artist in the most important games. And Russell Westbrook, as great as he is, he doesn't close games well. So that entire series was on the back of KD and Ibaka. Because Ibaka playing the defense that he played, Kendrick Perkins was there too. Perk was there too.
That's right. Yeah, Perk was there too. He clogged the middle. Yeah, he was going to give you anything.
Yeah, so KD's offense and those two's defense was the only reason they even had a chance, because Russell doesn't close out games and James Harden just disappears when you need him. Like, this motherfucker will shoot 2 shots in the fourth quarter. Like, fam, it's the finals.
Yeah, man. Yeah, launch him up, man, because he has a decent shot. You know, he can shoot. Anyway, but okay, so that's my 3 questions there. And my last slide in terms of sports, how are you in boxing?
Horrible.
Well, you know what? I try to cherry pick some fights from fighters that I recognize, because there's boxing going on all the time, by the way. So this Deontay Wilder, a guy who's a heavyweight, you probably seen him fight. He should hang it up. The last fights he has, he's getting destroyed in there, and I have a feeling he's going to lose this fight too. Jake Paul is I guess he's like an internet fighter. Right? Yeah. And then of course Shakur Stevenson is an up and coming light welterweight. And I know him, but I think he's overrated. So these are the 4 I picked over the next month or so that I'm gonna try to watch as long as they're free on TV, and I think they will be. I ain't paying for them. I haven't paid for a pay-per-view in years. You know, but I'm a big boxing guy from the old Sugar Ray Leonard days, Muhammad Ali days.
Yeah, if I asked my dad, I wouldn't be surprised if he told me the last pay-per-view he paid for was Mike Tyson.
Yeah. You know what? The damn fight is on a week later for free.
Hey, you give it an hour, it'll be on YouTube.
and even now it's on YouTube. Even back in the day, or 1 week later, they would show it for free. Or if you had a subscription with like HBO or Showtime, you know. So, and pretty much that's it for today, man. I appreciate you coming up, man. You know, sure. Every so often, a couple of my fellows show up. You know, people like, share, and subscribe. So this is my new channel. So, if the link is, I put the link in the chat if you have, so you can, if you want to subscribe to it, I'd appreciate that a lot. Hit the like button and that kind of stuff, because I come back every week, man. Every week. This is my second season, 28th episode this year. 7 o'clock every Wednesday. So anytime you got a free time, you want to pop in, man, you know, I drop the link. I'll tell some of the other fellas, and you know, they'll pop up, man. I gotta remind them too much. I don't like sending out reminders. Either coming or you're not. You know what I'm saying? So, but other than that, man, I appreciate it. And
no, for sure.
Yeah, and so that's it. And I'm good. And I always have my outro. Of course, I'm like big into my AI music. You know that, right? So anyway, so who's this? Somebody said something. Is that you? Oh, all right. What's going on? Finesse Vision just popped in. I don't know if you were here that long.
Yeah. I just dropped the link.
Yeah, drop the link. All right. Great. Anyway, I'm out of here. I appreciate you coming up. And I already played like I said, I'm gonna play my little outro. You can stop by.
Grab your friends, it's time to play. Join the fun, we're here all day. Watch the game with drinks in hand. On the swivel, let's take a stand. On the edge of our seats, we live for the thrill. In this moment together, we're feeling the chill. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits ignite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. Tasty bites and big screen thrills. Every moment gives you chills. High fives and cheers, it's quite a sight. Join the crowd, it feels so right. As the game goes on, our hearts beat as one. Memories in the making, oh, this night's just begun. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screen, So good night, my friends, till